All right, welcome back, everybody. I had a special guest planned for y'all. He had something pressing with family, so I'll bring him on another week. I decided to do a solo episode here, and we're gonna do like kind of a more less formal, more of an AMA, like an Ask Me Anything kind of style. So we're gonna talk all things like I said offline about business, integrating systems, processes, KPIs, raising capital and different asset classes. And whatever you guys have, feel free, like I said, raise your hand, submit it in the chat, and we'll go from there. So, Patrick, you want to come up here for a second and we'll talk about raising capital?
Sure thing.
Cool. So, where let's start here. Do you have a deal that you're looking to raise for?
Oh, I actually have two deals I'm looking at.
Do you have the addresses blacked out?
I do not, but I can share the address. I'm not worried about it. Let's see if I can pull this
Yeah, I
up.
mean, as long as you're not worried about it going on YouTube.
Maybe we'll black that out.
Yeah. Yeah, black that out real quick. And then what I'll do is I'll just share my screen. I'll show you guys kind of like what we go through. So when I'm looking at investments, and like I said, Bree's in here. Bree was a fantastic guest a couple weeks ago, and Bree's one of the people that I'm raising for. So when we come over here to my Facebook, you'll see because I had just made a post about a deal not that long ago, or about two deals, right? And one of these is Breeze, which we broke down on the podcast already. So with making the actual post, I usually just try to keep it concise, and we try to keep enough to get the interest. So like Patrick, if you had come to me and you, I want your help, raising for deals, usually the first thing I ask you is like, what kind of property is it, right? If it is it single family? If it is, then what's the makeup of the property? What's the bed bath count, the square footage, the build, the exit strategy, funds requested, and then how are you seeking to give a return back to the investor? So in this case, in both these cases, it was equity. So they were offering equity and cash flow, and usually with that, whether it's a partner or a lender, they always want to know what the cash on cash return is. And the cash on cash is super easy to calculate. It's really just kind of taking what are the annual payments returned back to the lender, divide that by the cash that they invested, and then you multiply that by 100, you get your cash on cash. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yep.
So notice though, I don't throw a whole lot of like this isn't super fluffy. There's not like all these crazy there's not crazy graphics and there's not flowers and fireworks and sunshine and whatever else going on. Usually if it like for this one, I know I don't normally even do anything like as a prequel like the text up here, but what I was doing, because these are equity and equity is usually harder to find, I tried to lead with a hook or something that would get them like more involved, right? Like, why should they invest in an equity opportunity? And the main idea of like investing in equity is that they want to have something to add to their balance sheet, right? They want the depreciation. And I usually also will add a little something in there about the borrower too, because at the end of the day, they want to know the borrower is a good person, right? Like, I might know you, I might like you, and I might trust you, but they don't know that. And so like at the bottom, what I did was I kind of mentioned a little bit about their experience, right? Like Bree's been a PML before. So she did extensive research. She knows how to actually find a deal that's going to cash flow, which is what she did. And now she's just looking to sell equity in order to get some of her money backed out. So when I'm looking to raise for a deal, that's what we do is usually we start with getting that information from you, and we'll usually build a deck, and then I'll create the post.
Okay.
And the reason that we're creating the post is to start the conversation. So we're just trying to get somebody um to basically comment or message me and say, "Hey, I'm interested." And once they say they're interested, I'll take you over here to my Google Drive and I will show you one of the I'll show you a dead deal. So that way it doesn't matter. Where did I put it? And there's a couple of different ways you can do this, right? Like I can send you the template, which is what I'll do a lot of times. I'll send you like the actual Google sheet, I mean the Google slide, and then I'll tell you like, "Hey bro, just make this your own." Right? Like obviously this is not your house and that's not your address. But what I would want you to do is, put your address in here. Replace this picture with the picture of your deal. We're going to do an about the borrower slide. We're going to talk about, you know, who is Patrick. We're going to put a picture of Patrick that looks good and professional. We're going to talk about his experience here, like how many deals has he done? And if you haven't done any deals, that's okay. We're going to lean in on experience that you've gotten from other places, right? Like Emma was a first time borrower. So she leaned in on that she's been a sub two student, that she's been in top tier, that she's done asset management, that she's been an integrator for a PML team, that she's taken certain courses within sub two as well. We're gonna go to the subject property. Again, same thing. Notice there's no like excessive gradient backgrounds, there's no crazy transitions. It is just simple. PMLs care about this being easy to understand. And PMPs too. They want it to be easy to understand. They want to be able to look at the deck, read through each slide, get the bullet points, and know exactly what they're investing in. So, bed bath, square footage, lot size, build, purchase price. Everybody always gets asked for that. Parking is nice to include. I don't always include it in every deck. Income's always super important to include. What kind of income are you expecting it to make? Again, what's the cash on cash? What's the expenditures? And then what's the net after your gross minus the expenses? Monthly expenditures. Is there an HOA? That's always super important. Do you have any kind of utility estimates? Any kind of like lawn care and property management estimates? Are you doing a war chest? If so, like how much are you trying to set aside for that? Breakdown of profit share. In this case, since this was a PMP deal. But if it's not a profit share, then you don't have to include this. Then you would just put something in there about the return to the investor, right? You would put something in there about monthly interest payments. Are you doing interest only? What projected or what interest rate are you proposing and why? Everybody wants to start at like 12% for 12 months. Well, that's getting harder and harder to find. Like maybe offer 15 because you'll probably get more takers sooner. PMP lending terms, cash to close. How much do you need? How much is going to the seller? What's the assignment fee? What are the closing costs? What's the capital raising fee? What's the renovations? And then the most important thing on this slide is do not make them do the work. Include the total amount, include the borrow time, include, again, go back to the interest and the profit share. Include all that, work it out, and show them what their ROI is. Lenders get really aggravated really quickly if you're asking them to do all the work for you, even if it's simple math. Some people will include snippets of their calculator. I don't recommend doing it like this. usually what I'll do is I will zoom in on cells that matter. Like let's say this section is important to telling the story of it because it has the asking price, ARV, the furnishings, the fee. Like then I would probably just I would take a screenshot of this and I would blow it up because this is difficult to read. If I wanted to read this, I'd have to go in here to probably 150 zoom and zoom in and show exactly what is in that. And then once I have to modify the zoom like that, see how this is all grainy and pixelated.
Yep.
So we're going to try not to do that. Exit strategies. You always want to show them more than one. If you have any evidence to support the other two, I would usually display that. In this case, because it's a co-living and co-livings are often popular because of proximity, a lot of people in their co-living decks will include screenshots from things like Google Maps or Apple Maps that show what it's proximal to and why they think that marketing would work. So if you were building a deck with me, then I would help you build that, or I can give you the template. It's whatever's easier for you. And then you could go out and do it. And if you need that template, like I said, just let me know and I'll send that to you after this.
Okay.
But you're just getting them into the dialogue. And like I said, actually, Dawn and Sabrina are both in here, and Eric. And like I said, Sabrina's a PML. Dawn raises capital with just like I do. So if any of you guys want to chime in and kind of help me out, if there's anything that y'all think I'm missing.
Sorry, my mouth is full. I just wanted to just reiterate what you shared about just providing the specifics up front. I had someone share with me a deal yesterday over text, and there was just very little information, and I was just like, already game over, not even interested at that point, because I don't want to hunt you down for the information. When if you're asking for money, you should know, your numbers and what we're looking for.
Right. And so but like you said, Bree, like that makes sense to you, right? If I brought you a deal, I'm going to have all those details. And if you ask me questions because you don't see something, I'm going to give you the answer right away.
100%. But this was like just like the bare minimum. Like they're like almost non-existent information.
So does that make more sense, Patrick?
Yep, that makes it easier. Absolutely.
And then my job as the capital raiser is basically to take that deck and to go out and generate as much interest as possible. I'm emailing that deck out usually sometimes 4 or 5 times a day. And what we're doing, like, then I arrange the meeting. Like, I'll talk to you and I'll say, hey, when are you available? I've got somebody interested. Do you have like Monday afternoon free? And you'll say, yeah. And then I'll create the calendar event. I'll send you the invite. I'll send them the invite. And then from there, like, yes, I'm in the meeting, but you're there to close the deal. I'm only there to make sure that everything goes as needed, and I'm asking questions for both sides if I feel like something's missing.
Okay.
So, like I say, let's just say if you had pitched your deal to Bree, I would then email Bree the deck. She'd say, "Yeah, this looks good. Can you get me a meeting with the borrower?" I'd say, "Yeah." How's Monday afternoon? Y'all would both say, "That sounds good." All right, cool. I'll send out the calendar invite. I'll get the two of you into a meeting just like this. And then she's gonna ask you questions. You're gonna ask her questions. And then y'all are gonna come to an agreement.
Okay. Cool.
Do you need help with any of that stuff on your deal?
I might need help with these two deals. I'm primarily looking for private money partners on. So maybe with figuring out the returns and like I know that's going to be different because they're going to be equitable partners on it. So I know their return is going to be different. Yeah, they're getting the taxable benefits and things like that, but just the outline on the pitch deck and things like that.
Patrick, I can help you with that.
Okay.
I mean, Adam, obviously, we can make it a group conversation, but I can help you with that too.
Okay. Very cool.
The main thing I think with the equity deals that makes them hard, right, is that like each one is so unique. And
Yep.
so for you, I would say just structure it in a way that, it makes sense for the equity partner without killing the deal. So, like I said, some of them, like I showed you the dead deal that I showed you, that one was proposing interest only payments and equity. And everybody was like, well, I want interest only payments and equity every month. And it's like, no, you can't have both.
Okay.
Right. And they were like, why not? And it's like, well, because the property needs money coming in to support the property. So what Emma had done was she had put all of the interest payments on the back end. So at the refi time, they would get all of the interest, but they were getting profit share the whole time. And it's like, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is the reason that they were doing the profit share monthly is because the profit share payouts were higher than the interest only payment payouts would have been.
Okay.
But like again, every deal is different. Some deals, if it's really, really big and it can support it, they will do the interest only payments plus equity, but it will be a lower equity percentage. It might be like 30% in that deal you saw. It said 40, which was approximate. It's really like 37. And so that's how they'll structure it. Is they'll structure it in a way that makes sense without overtaxing the income of the property. So
Okay.
you have to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
And like I said, sometimes it's 50-50, and sometimes if you don't need the cash flow from the property right away, you could even offer them 50% equity, but a higher cash flow payment for on a temporary basis for the first 12 months or 24 months to help back out some of their money.
Yeah.
If you can't do interest only payments. That's another way that I saw some deals structured.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, dude, whatever you need help with, like I said, just let me know if you but like I said, you can always go back to my timeline. You can find the post and you can just kind of grab those bullet points and then like I said, if you want to, I'll send you the deck when we're done here and you can go from there.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, man. That'd be awesome. So, like I said, keep me posted. Let me know how it goes, and like I said, if you need any help, just reach out.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool.
Awesome.
What other questions we got, guys? We got a lot of people in here, not a whole lot of people with their mics on. Here's one I get a lot. Where does all the dog hair come from? And it's this one.
Guess if we're looking at properties, I've got some in Iowa.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out a way to pitch this to my uncle. He's got 2 duplexes in Ames, and of course, like it's not very common to do creative finance, except for unless he owns them outright, I believe. I would assume because he's a contractor. He builds apartments and whatnot out there, so he is willing to sell these duplexes to me. But and of course, the first question he asks on text, how much you able to put down? Like how much can you put down? Like so they're I wouldn't be able to do 10% down on both. So that's why I want to find a way to, and the real estate agent he'll use is his daughter, my cousin. So he's like, go talk to her. She's got the details on it, which she doesn't have all the details. She's like, how family is. So I've got like how much the purchase price would be, and I think he's willing to haggle on that. She had an idea of how much the rents are, and they pay utilities and all that. I asked her about insurance. She doesn't know what the insurance is on them, but it's Iowa. We have, I don't know if it's average insurance compared to everyone else. But anyway, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna be safe to say the addresses on here because nobody's investing in Iowa, let alone Ames, anyways. But he's willing to. They're off market. It's not like they're on market. So I don't know if you would just want me to text you the addresses, or should I just what?
Whatever
Oh,
you feel like is easiest for you.
okay.
If you
I don't
want,
have. Okay, I don't think I have your number. What's your phone number, real quick?
I'm dropping it in the chat for you.
Okay, cool. That way, then I can just send them to you. 504-421-3963. I'll first send a hi. There we go. Let me look for that text with the properties. Okay, so here is property number 1. Good thing is they're residential, so I was worried being on rural water that they wouldn't be residential. They're right on the edge of town. They're part of a different county, but they're still part of the city, right on the edge. So,
Mhm.
which I would like, honestly. And they already have renters in them for a whole year, which is another decent thing. I was kind of wanting to live in one half of one of them, but I'm like, I'll wait a year. But there's one of them right there. And we use Beacon Schneider Corp out here, which probably doesn't sound like anything to you, but that's our assessor's page. When we look up properties, information, whatever, it's Beacon Schneider Corp. It sounds weird, but anyways, there's that and that. So the first duplex on there, we could go on there. Try to remember if the first one was the one with the new roof. Let's see how old that one was. The newer one, that one was built 1999, that one there. So that one I think is the one he's asking $275,000 on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got two bedroom, 1 bath. So each duplex, all of these have 2 bedroom, 1 bath. This one is renting. Let
Okay,
me
so
go back to my.
this is the first one you sent me. Is this the one you're talking about right now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, cool. So this is what we're looking at, right? We got the 1999 build. Looks like it's in normal condition.
Yep.
Okay.
That one. Like that one, he had renting for like one side 1,000, the other side 1,100.
Mm-hmm.
That was in $2,000 in taxes. Does it say on there?
It owes 2,000 in taxes.
No. It costs like $2,000 for taxes, or that's what she told me.
Residential land, residential building. Taxation, yeah. Let's see, taxable land value.
Well, that one's 1,530.
Yeah, here you go. I was gonna say net taxes due. Let's see, pay property taxes. What's the tax history? Okay. The way they have the tax history laid out is a little confusing, but
Yeah, it's weird. Try to make sure that's the one that he was asking 275 on. I'm looking at the age of the other one. Where is the other one age?
the second one, it looks like it's built in 2011.
Okay, so that one is the newer one. Okay.
Yeah.
Second one, that one he's asking 275,000. The other one's 220,000. So then the first one we were looking at, one of them rents them $1,000. The other side 1,200. The second one 1,000 on one side, 1,100. So they're about the same. But it's weird how the cheaper one you get more rent out of than the one he wants more from has less rent. But he said in its Ames market, you can. I mean, that's actually pretty cheap rent. There is room to raise the rent, especially since it's a college town. It's a university. Cyclones. I don't know if you know Iowa. Cyclones versus Hawkeyes. They just had their big game yesterday. It's huge. But so people in Ames, if they're not in college or if they want a quiet part of town, this is it. These duplexes are the quiet part of town. Basically, it's right next to the college, but kind of the outskirts where it's perfect. So yeah, rent should be up higher, to be honest, for that reason. It's just like right instant access to Highway 30 or into town. So it's like there's room to raise rent. He has no issues renting, like they're instant because it's so cheap.
Have you run rent comps on it to confirm that you can go up on the rent?
Oh, I haven't used rent comp, but I mean, just from me researching Ames myself, because I've wanted to live there, it's stupid rent out there. Trying to like anything cheap, like people are trying to rent out rooms for expensive. Like, oh, you want a room, 600 plus utilities. That's just rooms out there. It's stupid. So I'm like, this is pretty good to rent a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and have plenty of parking, no neighbors to worry about, hardly. So yeah, it could you could definitely even a house like they go up for, a room in a house is close to 1,000 if you're in a house. Apartment rooms are like 600. So yeah, rent could definitely go up for a 2 bed because heck, somebody renting a 2 bed, they could split that. One roommate has 500, the other one rent 500, but
Right.
you could definitely jack up the rent on that.
Okay, so you got under market rents on 2 duplexes. So what's your strategy with it? You just gonna try to take it down for long-term rentals?
Yep. One of them I would like to live in, one half of the duplex eventually. So they have each side has a person with a lease until end of July next year. So they're already guaranteed renters in there. So yeah, one of them might move out in 6 months, but he's willing to pay the rest. So that's what my uncle told my cousin, I guess. So yeah. But I'm trying to figure out like I just need to present a creative finance plan with my uncle. I'm like, I'm not gonna have a lot to pay down. I want to save as much as I can once my houses sell
Mm-hmm.
in Fort Dodge. And because I kind of want to buy a house also in Crystal Lake, which is only 12 grand. But that one's a project house and I can just, pay that 12 grand. But I've always wanted to invest in Ames and it's like a hot market, like because they aren't building out there. This is a college town. They aren't building, and it's just always going to be a hot market because they aren't building. And it's a university town. They got a hospital there, which it would be great for nurses to just go take Highway 30 and go to the hospital or just take, zigzag there. But yeah, I've always wanted to invest out there. And every time I go try to look at a house, they have showings every 5 minutes on some of those houses. So they get sold and they actually go above the price. And I'm like, this town is just it's weird how that town has, I don't know, it's not growing, but it's that market.
Well, just keep in mind, right? Like if you're trying to come in with a lower down payment, typically in any sale or any negotiation, you can have price or you can have terms, but you can't have both, right?
Yeah,
You
I
can
know.
have cake, but you can't eat it too.
Yep.
And so maybe what you would do is like to come in at a lower down payment, offer closer to the price that he wants,
Hmm.
and just structure the terms in a way that it kind of makes up for the lower down payment. Maybe you give him more of the cash flow and you take less of it on the front end.
Yep.
If you're gonna do
Yeah.
it creatively, that's what I would think. Instead of doing, maybe offer like 5% down on each, that's 10% total, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah. And then be like, okay, I can talk to him. I want to do like a in meet with him. We have a person who's doing creative finance, I guess, in Ames. He's not even sub two or creative finance groups, which is weird that one of my friends is like, yeah, there's this guy doing deals. I'm like, if I could just face to face with my cousin Kim, who's kind of more, if she's a real estate agent, she would probably be the best person. Here, let's do this face to face before presenting it to my uncle, your dad, before scaring him with this new idea that but yeah, 5% down, I can offer that. Be like, okay, I want to do 5% down. What terms would you like then? You know,
Well, and explain to him that by him not selling the house outright, he's not paying all that capital gains tax on
yep,
all of the money coming in. Be like, look, I'm offering you a chance to save on capital gains tax.
yep,
I'm going to put 5% down on each property. I'm willing to give you whatever number you want monthly, and maybe, and if he's like, cool, well then I want 1,400 a month, and you're like, all right, well, I mean, they're each making 2,400, whatever it is,
Hmm.
then just structure it out. Like, do you know what his PITI is now?
No, we're trying
Or
to figure. I can ask my insurance guy how much it would be to cover those, and then I can at least have an idea how much on my end. So, but otherwise, yeah, everything else I've got. But yeah, 75, 275 for the newer duplex, 220. Although the one for 220, I think needs a new roof. One of them needs a new roof, and it's probably the slightly older one. I would guess the 1999 one. I love how he doesn't know exactly which one. And I'm like, I'm gonna guess it's the older one. But
yeah, although it very well could not be too.
yeah.
So 220, 275 brings you at 495 for the total for both.
Hmm.
And then, like I said, 10% of that is 49.5.
Which is
So,
all my profit from selling these houses, or almost all my profit, which I kind of want to have some extra for my down payment on another house project and get my tiny home community going, too, at my trailer park. So I'm like, I need a little bit for these other projects. So that's why I'm trying to I would love these duplexes. So
and the less you bring down, the more you're gonna have to probably give up monthly.
yep.
So it's like, well, you're gonna have to probably pick and choose, right? Because it's like, well, how much do you need to keep? Because you're gonna need a new roof eventually too, right? That's probably gonna be what, 10, 14 grand.
Yeah. And I have friends who I can work on it, and I have a few other friends, so we could probably actually get it knocked down to even cheaper. So I mean,
Right.
that's just paying somebody else to do it. But yeah, me and my because I'm a contractor myself, and I'm finding some contractors who can do it and allow me to work with them, and I'll make sure that roof gets done that day. you know.
Right, but even still, like even if you get it cheaper, you might get it like, let's say 8 grand because you're a contractor.
Yeah. Yep.
But you still gotta have the 8 grand in your war
Yeah.
chest.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. Yep. So yeah, that's the only thing, is just trying to present to him that idea that I'm hoping to get past. But he's willing to, that's why they're off market. He's willing to sell them to me because I'm interested and I've been interested.
Uh-huh.
Actually, one of these duplexes I helped paint 2 years ago, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing with this duplex? Would you mind selling?" He's like, "I wish you asked me a week sooner, because that person moving in was going to buy it." Apparently, that fell through, and hey, here's an opportunity.
The other thing you could do is roll it into something like a DSCR, because I have a friend that'll do it even with no seasoning, but you have tenants in there, so
Yep.
you would then just have to cover the down payment for the DSCR, but I mean, at least it would give you a regularly scheduled payment.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Or
I
not.
think with my DNCR person, they would need about 20% down on that. So, which would be a bank basically.
It varies. I have one DSCR lender that could probably get you down to 10% down personally out of pocket because they allow for a second position lien.
Hmm.
You could do the DSCR at 75 LTV and then an additional second position lien, like a private money loan or something, at 15, which would bring you down to 90 or bring you up to 90.
Okay. Hmm. All right.
That's another way you could do it.
Okay.
But again, keep in mind, 10 is still 49.5. It's still 50 grand.
Yep. 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 That's why I can't wait till this other house sells. Then I know exactly what I have working with, because whoever buys my other house, then I might have more play money because negotiations. So that's why I don't know yet what I'll have to play with.
Right. I mean, you can offer him 0% down, right? People do that and they get deals accepted that way, but
Yeah.
I think you just also got to be prepared to go into that negotiation.
Yep. Yep.
Like one of my wholesale buddies, he offers, that's his first LOI. is he'll offer a super low cash price.
Mhm.
Oh, you want, basically 500 for both. I can give you 250 for both. And they're like, yeah, that would work. And he'll be like, well, I can give you the 495, but here's what'll happen. I want 0% down, 0% interest.
Mhm.
And then if they accept that, right, it's a smoking deal. Like he has no reason to not go forward on the deal.
Yeah.
But obviously don't do anything to insult your uncle either.
Yeah. I see some people commenting on here. Don says I might, yeah, I'll qualify for a line of credit once these houses sell, because guess what? Every time I buy a house and work on it, I'm a fix and flipper, and I've had actually a couple houses I've been holding on too long because I was fighting a mechanics lien for a while, and one of my friends was supposed to be working on another house and she didn't, so I had to finish that. So those got in the market here in the last few weeks. One of them's the 6 bedrooms finally selling, closing the 25th, finally. But here's the thing: I maxed out my credit cards. I had 4 car loans because I was trying to, make those monthly payments. So once those sell, then I'll be able to pay off everything, and then I should, like she said, get a business line of credit. Hopefully, once I get my credit back up. So that's the thing. It's like every time I do a fix and flip or buy and hold, I actually do max out my cards, but I only used to have 2. Now I have like 6. So I'd max them out, pay them off, max them out, pay them off, and that's how I grow. So, yeah. Otherwise, I have to wait to do that business line of credit.
Well, Dawn's one of the people to talk to. She can actually help you apply for all that. She can look into DSCR, business lines of credit, and help you with your business credit score.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so I just wanted to chime in real quick. So if you work on building your business credit, you'll actually be working through your EIN and not your social. So every time you purchase a flip, it's not hitting your personal credit score, and you can qualify for a lot more in your business.
I need
And
to
you
start
can,
my
you can
business.
use your cards, your business cards, a lot better than
Okay.
you could in your personal credit, if that makes sense.
Yep. After listening to Pace on getting credit cards, I was getting a bunch of credit cards under my name though. So I need to actually start
Yep.
using my She's Handy, getting a business line for that. Now that I'm more established
Yeah.
and been doing flips, I think now would be the time to finally work on getting my business credit. I have 0 business credit right now. So that would be the next.
Is your score at least a 680, or is it lower right now because of high utilization?
I think last time Kirsten looked at it, she said I was 680. Last time I looked, it was 580, but of course that was Credit Karma, which I just go and stop and look.
Yeah.
But she's like, you're at 680. We just did like a few weeks ago. So I'm like surprised
Yeah.
it hasn't. I don't know what happened, but I'm like, it should be. I've been making payments, so I'm like, it's been dropping. But then as soon as I make all those payments, usually in the past, it jumps up. So it'll probably be after this 6-bedroom house closes on the 25th. I'm gonna pay off as much as I can, and that should jump it. And like, so middle of next month, I would assume, or by end of next month, it should go up to, I would assume, over 700 at least.
Yeah.
I've gotten
As
close
long
to
as you have as long as you have a 680, you can get those 0% interest credit cards, and then you can balance transfer those amounts, or at least half, to lower your utilization. And then now you can qualify for like lines of credit and all those things. Yeah, you
Okay.
probably have a lot more money in your business and you just don't realize it. But yeah, if you have a 680, you can get those 0% interest credit cards.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have to talk to you.
Okay.
Sounds like the 2 of y'all need to swap numbers.
For sure. Yeah, I'll leave my number.
So yeah, Meg, does that help a little bit? Like I said, you can structure it however you want, but I would also say too with your uncle, maybe anchor it low, right? Because they're always going to want more.
Yep.
And just to approach it non-emotionally, because even if you do approach him, be like, look, well, what if I gave you 0 down and 0% interest? He'll probably be like, Meg, are you serious? But know what you can go up to, right? Like maybe you bake in there like, look, bro, I'll give you 5 or 6% interest. If it's free and clear, as long as the monthly payments include that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
as long as the monthly payments that he wants and include that, and maybe you just amortize it out a little bit longer to make the payments make sense.
Yep, yep. I need to make sure I'm covering my bills with the payments from the rent to pay him and myself. So yep, yep. No, that's why I haven't done sub 2 yet, but I'm actually working on selling one of my properties sub 2 to somebody in Fort Dodge. So that'll be helping them learn how to do sub 2, and he's willing to pay 70,000 on this thing I listed, a 1-bedroom rental. I listed at 55. A tree fell on it, then I put a new roof, so I listed then at 65, back down to 55, but he's willing to pay 70,000, 7% interest, 0 down. I'm like, so yeah. So that might be my first sub 2 deal, selling one. So yeah.
Well, and the same thing. Just think about what brought it to you that made it appealing to you, and then just do the same thing. Just you're on the other side of it now, so propose it to your uncle.
Because yeah, I'm already in creative, and I'm trying to like figure out a way to tell him in a way not to scare him off. But yeah, best thing to do is just jump into it. Just what's the worst? I don't need the properties. I would like them, but I don't need them. Kind of, So
Well, sit down with him. Sit down with your cousin, right? Maybe give
Yep.
him a beer, chill him out a little bit first.
oh, that makes there we go. He likes beer.
Well, most guys do, right? So like maybe just give him a beer or two first and be like, look, bro, here's what I'm thinking. And he'll probably, oftentimes going into these negotiations is not that bad. It's not nearly as bad as what people think. You'll be like, you're gonna get all worked up thinking like, oh, he's gonna jump down my throat. Probably not.
Yeah,
He'll probably just tell you it doesn't work for him.
yeah, makes sense. Cool. Well, thank you. I'll let the next person, whoever wants to jump in.
Let's see what we got.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Meg. Who else has a question? What do we got, guys? Integrator work, operations, capital raising. Katie, I know you and I usually.
Can we go into operational effectiveness?
Sure, what you got?
No, I'm asking you to just whatever you got on operational effectiveness.
Well, that's really, really broad, Katie. Where are we going to start? What do you want to? What kind of where are you looking to improve your operations?
I guess it was more like for people that are beginning a business or starting up something for themselves, what do you recommend they pay attention to when they're first starting when it comes to effectiveness?
Probably their time, first and foremost. Get a calendar, keep it, live by it, die by it. I would say the outputs, right, or the inputs. If you're putting in a lot of effort, you should be getting some form of output, but you can't expect a lot of output unless you're putting in a lot of input, right? So, in other words, if you're like, oh, well, I reached out to 3 sellers and I didn't get a deal, it's like, well, yeah, you reached out to 3 sellers. If you reach out to 100 sellers, what's the likelihood that you're going to get a deal? You're probably going to get 1 or 2 or 3 even, just depending on how good your numbers are. And the numbers are different for everybody. But within operations, a lot of it is just management. It's understanding leadership. It's understanding how to work with people. And sometimes if it's just you, then it's understanding how to work with yourself, right? Like, you have to understand how you work best, what your best creative times are. Maybe you get all your best creative writing done in the morning, like do your ad copy and stuff for your business in the morning. But if you don't, if you're more of a night owl, then time block those creative tasks to be at night and not in the morning. So operational effectiveness mostly just comes down to basically working with people and working with time. And you have to be able to respect both the people and their time. That's what a lot of it kind of breaks down to, especially when you're starting out. You have, like I said, you got to put out a tremendous amount of effort in order to get some form of results to come out of it. Too many people try to optimize too much, and I see that a lot, and I call it death by optimization, which is like I want this system and I want it to do everything for me. And so what ends up happening is they sign up for these really, really big systems and they jam up their overhead. And the next thing you know, they're spending thousands of dollars a month, hundreds if not thousands of dollars every single month on softwares that sound really good that they got sold on that they're not utilizing either properly to its fullest potential or at all. So with operational effectiveness, I would say just be mindful of yourself, right? Like don't fall into the pitfalls. Start where you are, start small, start with something that's easy to be consistent with. Like even with the podcast, right? Like these are still hosted on Zoom. And I have had people tell me, like, oh, well, there's so many ways to do it better. There's so many ways that you could get more viewers. There's so many ways that you could get better audio and better video and better this and better that. It's like that's not, but because it's so easy and it's so simple, that's why I keep showing up and doing it every week. To add all that extra shit just makes it that much more difficult for you to do what's in front of you. And you're only you're only adding additional roadblocks and things that can break. The simplest systems are the best. The simplest processes are the best. If you're gonna have SOPs, they don't need to be 10 pages long. They need to be like 1 page. It needs to just be step by step. Like first you do A, then you do B, then you do C. That's one of the big things we're working with now with my consulting client is like her SOPs are all over the place. Just checking her newsletter statistics would take one of her people like 9 hours a week because the SOP was so long. And what she had to do when she got that data was so intense. It was like it didn't make sense. There's so many little manual processes. It was jump over here, and then it was jump over there, and then it was put it here, and then do this, and then reach out to that person, and then if they don't reply, do this, and then if they do reply, do that. And she had like this whole almost like a flow chart of like where everybody needed to go. So like I said, when it comes to that, and when it comes to being effective, you just got to understand that sometimes doing all the little minutia doesn't actually get you anywhere. It just gets you bogged down in the weeds. And likewise, being stuck in the clouds, thinking about how great everything is and coming up with new ideas is fun and it's exciting. It's not what moves the needle forward, though. Executing on the ideas is what moves the needle forward. So reverse engineer, come up with what's the end goal. If the end goal is to get X amount of deals a month, come up with a daily, weekly, monthly dial targets. Start to find out what your numbers are. 10-3-1 is usually pretty good for most people. That's for like every 10 contacts, you can expect 3 conversations and 1 close. Seems to be pretty accurate, give or take within most industries I've been a part of. So, before you have the data, I would use that as a loose guideline. And then once you get the data, it might be different. It might be 15, 4, and 1. It might be 20 to 2 to 1. You don't know what those numbers are until you get it, but once you get it, then it tells you where the leaking points are in the funnel. So then you can go back and you can hone those processes. If you're having way too many conversations, then you have a leak at the top end of the funnel because you're not getting them from the dial to the conversation. And then if you have way too many conversations and not enough closes, then you need to work on the closing process. So that's where I would start with operational effectiveness and things as far as like what your processes probably are and or should be. Nina, Dawn, I'm glad the 2 of y'all connected. Dawn, good to see you got all your info in there. Dawn's good people. Like I said, her and I were working on a project and we'll probably kick it up again eventually, but for right now it's tabled because she's got a lot and I've got a lot. Yeah, we'll get there, Dawn. What else y'all got, guys? anything integrator related, anything, let's say anything else capital raising related? You got properties you want to look at?
Hey Adam, my name is Ricardo. This is my first time being in a Zoom meeting with y'all. I just joined the Facebook page not too long ago too as well. And then you really caught my attention about the operations. I'm not sure if you can actually interject on my business, meaning of like give me a little bit of advice on how to scale up.
Yeah.
I'm actually currently getting maybe one deal every 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything is through wholesalers. But I
Mm-hmm.
really want to actually scale up, and there's a lot of like ways to actually do that. I know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to see your perspective of, hey, like from one deal every 2 months, how can I get to maybe 2 deals every month?
Okay. So walk me through it. What's your process? How are you
So my,
getting one deal every 8 weeks?
so my process is very simple. Pretty much like my outreach is through Facebook
Mm-hmm.
and wholesalers and universal lift. That's my two ways to do that. And then, but I really want to actually shift that to getting specific leads from people that are distressed. But there's so many leads, there's so many like ways and avenues to do that. And yeah, and then from there, when I get like houses from properties from the wholesalers and Facebook, I pretty much like I'm the one doing everything. One man head, meaning I raise capital, I evaluate the properties, I literally do everything, and then I close them too as well.
Well, the first step to scaling is to not do everything, and I think you probably know that by now. So I would say, what's your biggest leverage point? Like, what out of all of your processes do you hate doing the most?
I have not think about that, but probably like it's very time consuming getting the leads, getting the properties.
Mhm.
So I don't like that the most because it takes the most time.
Cool. Then that's your best fulcrum point, right? That means when you pull on that lever, you're you're going to get the most leverage out of simplifying your lead flow. So
Okay.
right now you're getting your leads through Facebook and wholesalers, you said?
Yes, sir. Investor lift to be more specifically. Well, wholesalers in Facebook too as well.
Okay, so wholesalers, Facebook, and investor list.
Yeah.
And what are you doing with them? So you're going in there, you're running through there and you're like picking the properties that you like.
Yeah, I have a buying box and I do tell them these my zip codes, and then on Facebook if it fit my zip code, and then and the asking price is very close of my comms and all that, my ARV. I
Mm-hmm.
send her an offer, and I feel like for every 100 offers that I do, I get one. And
That's probably about right. Especially, I mean, LOIs and stuff aren't meant to really be that they aren't really meant to have high response rates. Now, so there's two things you could do there. You could change how you're sending out your LOIs. But again, I would argue that's probably not the highest fulcrum point. Still a good fulcrum point that you can do, right? You can get your LOI response rate up. And maybe that's by making the offers a little bit more appetizing. But the other thing that you could do is you could hire like a VA, or you could hire a lead manager, or you could find like a scraping software, or you could export lists, like whatever it is to automate your lead flow. That's probably the best and highest use of your time to get that off your plate.
got it. So Adam, you saying that pretty much getting a VA and train them how to source the deals? I mean, how to source the leads? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say, like I said, either a VA or a system or a software that you could automate that lead flow.
Okay.
Because like I said, you're going to these three different sites, right? You're going to Facebook, you're going to Investor Lift, and you go into other wholesalers. So
Yes.
are you reaching out to the wholesalers like one-on-one?
Yeah, I do actually. When I like the deal and the asking price very close, I get on the phone with them, and then I try to lock in the deal for sure. And investor lift, I make offers during the weekend. That's what I do. Offers during the weekend, like through the software.
And then when you say Facebook, you're going to do like Facebook groups.
Yeah, I go through all Facebook groups that are actually targeted in my specific area. I'm based in Memphis, but
Mhm.
I live in Vegas. And then I join every like any Facebook group that is related to Memphis investing for sure. That's what I do.
So investor lift could probably be scraped. Facebook groups can't. And so in that case, like to automate the Facebook groups, you would have to have a VA. And instead of
Okay.
paying for both, I would say just get a VA and just train them to go through investor lift and train them to go through Facebook.
Hmm.
And you could always start there. Start with automating one process. Start with them identifying what a good deal to you is.
Got it.
And then eventually you can offer to go up in their compensation if they are willing to get on the phone with the wholesalers, which I'm guessing that's all the wholesalers you're reaching out to, right? Or the wholesalers you get from those two sources.
Both ways actually. So I'm always like reaching to new wholesalers, so I reach out to them, and the I get deals because wholesalers reach out to me too as well and tell me, hey, like I have something new for you, and sometimes it works, sometimes it does not work.
Yeah, I would train a VA to get the leads that you think are good from both Facebook and Investor Lift. And maybe what you do is you create like a deals inbox
Okay.
and you can put that email address, like it could be deals at whatever your domain is,
Yeah.
and you can register that email for every single wholesaler that you want to be on their buyers list for, and then you can train the VA to go through your inbox as well, and then that way you have three lead sources.
Hmm. Okay.
So
Appreciate it. Yeah.
that's a super super quick, easy, down and dirty way to like increase the lead flow. The hard part with VAs is there's two different ways to get a VA. There's to get one yourself, which is usually through like Upwork, Fiverr, whatever, and you can do that and you can train them successfully. Um, but it's hard, right? Like you're then fighting the learning curve of like training somebody to do what you want them to do. The other option is you go with like a VA placement agency, which they will get all of your requirements and they will make sure that they have a VA that's trained and meets your criteria for being hired. So maybe it's like they
Yeah.
have English speaking accent. Maybe it's that they're available during these times in your time zone. Maybe it's that they're proficient in, basic computer literacy like Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And they'll find somebody. It's usually anywhere from like 500 to a couple $1,000s up front for them to like place somebody with you. But what ends up happening with the placements is like if it's not a good fit, they will immediately remove that VA and then find somebody that's a better fit and put it in there and put that
Hmm.
person in there for you.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Never thought about that.
So your first month with a placement, you're looking at putting probably a few $1,000s out, but then after that, every other month you're just paying the salary of the VA.
Got it. And what was the salary average for monthly for either or?
It really depends. I've seen them go relatively low salary, usually $7, $8. You're not finding like $4 to $6 an hour like everybody read back in 4 Hour Work Week in like 2004. Those days are
Hmm.
gone. If it's somebody in the States, it's usually higher salary for obvious reasons, right? Like they're in the States, they have a
Yeah.
different standard of living to support, but you don't have to worry about the other like downfalls that usually come with VAs from overseas. I know my buddy Tyler he has a service he uses, and they also offer like they also offer like a virtual call center, which is something he does for his wholesaling business to reach out to people. But yeah, so I would say it's probably like 7, 8, up to 12 is probably on the lower side. And then again, they can get really expensive depending on how high level you want them to get, right? Like if you basically are trying to hire like a COO, they will find you one, but then you're looking at like once you get into those mid and premium tiers, you're looking at like probably $20 to $40 an hour.
Got it. Okay. So talking about the places called the I was doing research on that too as well. And then do you think that's a bad idea to start instead of doing the VA, having a company making calls for me by me providing leads?
Mm, I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, it's probably gonna be a little bit more cost intensive than hiring the VA because you're gonna have to go pull the leads and you're probably gonna have to pull a big list.
Okay.
So you're paying for the data and then you're also paying for the call center. Like I said, I know Tyler does it and he does it super effectively. Um, and that's something that I can ask him and I can get back to you on. But I would expect it to probably be a little bit more intensive than just hiring somebody to be your virtual assistant.
You say that it could be a little more expensive than actually get a VA? Okay.
Yeah, it could be. It just depends. Like I said, everywhere is different, but I would expect it to probably be at least a little bit more expensive than just getting a VA.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about exactly what would be my first step, baby step, with the most cost effective. So hiring a VA would be a number one choice then.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the call center is great. It takes more stuff off of your plate because you basically have multiple VAs reaching out to get you leads. But I mean, at that point, if you're reaching out to wholesalers to get properties, what I would think the call center would be more applicable if you were the wholesaler. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if I was a wholesaler, it will make sense because they already have a system to dispose those properties. Got it.
That and you'd have to go if you were a wholesaler, you'd have to go through way more leads in order to get a deal. But since you're cherry picking other wholesalers' deals, I would say you probably only need one VA for now, and then eventually, like once you get that VA and they're working a good amount, you could always trade a second one. And then at that point you're doubling your output. So, the goal is to get you from a deal every 8 weeks to like let's say a deal every 4 weeks, and then get you to a deal every 2 weeks, and then get you to a deal a week. You're always trying to cut that time down.
Got it. Okay. It makes sense. Appreciate it. This is super valuable.
Yeah, man, of course. Like I said, whatever I can do. And like I said too, the other thing is just outlining those processes with your VA, right? Like telling them that they have to hit these numbers every day. Maybe it's that they reach out to this many wholesalers. Maybe it's that they sign up the deal inbox for this many buyers lists, or they find this many properties and they submit it to you and they put it in a Google sheet. And you would create the template too. That's the other thing is like you would have your Google sheet would say like you would build out the columns and that way they can fill out all that data.
So yeah, I need to actually pretty much like have a system, meaning like what steps they need to take each day to complete those like 6 or 8 hours per day. And then
Yeah,
yeah, what
even if you only want to
thresholds are.
4 hours a day, like that's fine too. People do that all the time.
Okay.
You just have to have a definitive process that's realistic, right? Like you can't tell them that they need to go get 1,000 properties in 2 hours. Um, you need to be able to tell them like, look, you should be able to like this is how I do it, and this is how many properties I get when I do it, and this is how long it takes me. And you're trying to train up to your level of proficiency.
Got it. Okay.
So maybe start by recording your own processes now and how you're doing it. If you took one day, like let's say you started tomorrow and you took one day, 8 hours, you just pounding the computer and the phones, how many properties are you pulling out and putting into that spreadsheet? And then set that as your initial target.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have not tracked that yet, but I go through a lot of properties in 4 hours for sure. I'm not sure how many.
Well,
Okay.
then I would start with hiring a VA for 4 hours and just trying to get them to hit the numbers that you hit. And you'll find that out as soon as you start recording those numbers.
Got it. And then do you recommend me doing the same work that she does so I can short that time? Or should I focus something else?
No, focus on the higher dollar per hour task. So lead gen, you could you can outsource it, and like I said, that's gonna with that VA, right? That's probably like in the $10 an hour task bucket. So I would say then focus on doing things like say closing deals, which is if you had to hire a closer, that would be much more expensive than hiring a VA, and that's probably going to fall in like that $100 an hour task bucket. The goal is
Okay.
there's four time buckets. There's $10 an hour, $100 an hour, $1,000 an hour, and priceless. And $10 an hour is exactly what it sounds like. It's your data entry, it's your social media, it's your things that you can easily replace for in the tens values per hour, right? Anywhere from $10 an hour up to like 50, 60, 70, $90 an hour. And then
Okay.
with $100 an hour bucket, that's your higher level stuff. That's your hiring, firing, managing, that's your closing, your high level marketing like paid ads and stuff, building websites, whatever. $1,000 an hour is like that's when you start getting to actually working on the business, doing like C-suite level things, making actual like CEO, COO, CMO decisions. And then priceless is what you're always trying to buy back, right? Like that's time with your kids, that's time with your wife, that's time with your dog, that's time that you value, that you want to actually have back in your schedule.
Okay.
Even Hermosi says that there's nothing more freeing than an empty day on the calendar. And that's why, because it falls in that priceless bucket.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I can start doing that for sure. I'm probably gonna be like hiring a VA and start training that. I really enjoy training people. That's why. So me going through that process, I think it's not only gonna be enjoyable. It's gonna be probably cheaper.
Well, and keep in mind too, like even if you get a placement, you're still gonna have to train them to some level. So it's just how much training are you willing to do?
Okay.
Like you're gonna have to train them to your processes when you start, when you stop. What are your goals? What like how do they hit these numbers? You're gonna have to train them to your company. What are your core values? Like, what do they do if X happens, then Y?
Yeah.
So there's still gonna be placement, like training after placement. The goal though there is that you shorten that training window by a lot. So instead of having to train them for like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you can train them in like 2 to 4 weeks. Jessica just said
Okay.
that you go, the more training you have to do, you're paying for their experience too. And she's right. So I
Okay.
mean, obviously, like don't break the bank. If you have to start there, start there. Train somebody. Just understand that's going to come with its own level of frustration, and just be prepared for it, like mentally.
Okay. Yeah. I enjoy that. I do enjoy training people. I've been doing that for multiple years. Yeah. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Adam, for sure. Definitely gonna take your advice.
Yeah, Jessica says she thinks $10 to $12 an hour is a good starting point. Like I said, I agree. You can just start where you are within your budget. You can go on Fiverr, Upwork. I think Upwork probably has more high level talent than Fiverr does. And go in there, start searching for things related to real estate, like real estate leads, and see what kind of things pop up in the search query, and then you'll get a better idea of where to go from there.
Yeah. Do you think there's some quality of VAs back in LinkedIn? I've been getting messages about that, like straight VAs asking me for work, but I don't know how reliable it is. Any experience? Any advice on that?
Not direct experience. It's hard. I understand the hustle and people reaching out and like needing work. I've done it. I've been on both sides of it. I've had people that DM me and they're full of shit, and I've had people DM me and it worked out great.
Mm.
Jessica said ask for references. That's a good point too. You know, ask if they reach out to you, I would then ask them for some kind of like portfolio of work. Like who have they worked for? What kind of work have they done? You know, it's like something more demonstrable than just simply like a resume and a cover letter.
Okay.
Jessica said role play with them, and yeah, that can definitely be part of your interview process. Maybe do like a three stepped or 3-tiered interview process where like the first one you're just asking them questions, the second one maybe you role play, the third one, you know, you're grilling them on their knowledge, like kind of get to know them better. But yeah, definitely just don't go just accept any offer just because they wound up in your DMs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Cool, man.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, it did. It truly opened my eyes. I've been grinding for a long time, for 2 years already, and I only have about 4 properties, and then so we'll see.
Well,
For
and if
sure.
you text me, I'll try to introduce. If I'll put you in a text with Tyler, and he can probably walk you through it too, because he's trained all kinds of VAs.
Yeah, I'm all about that, to be honest. Like, I love learning, and then I love learning about people too as well. So yeah, if you can connect with him, for sure, I'll be grateful for that.
Yeah, just shoot me a text and
I will.
remind me later this evening. I'll put you in a chat with Tyler, and maybe the two of y'all can. He can give you more direct experience with hiring VAs and remote salespeople.
Let me see, Adam. I think I found you on Facebook, but I don't have your phone number.
I just dropped it in the chat for you.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so just grab that, shoot me a text, and we'll like I said, we'll get on, we'll talk about it with Tyler, and we'll see where it goes for you. But I think it'd be good for you, bro. I think you'll definitely be able to decrease that window, that gap in between getting deals from 8 to 4 weeks.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. I really appreciate this. Okay, I'll just text you. About to send you text you right now.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
What other questions we got, guys? I said operations integrating, real estate wholesaling. I'm not a wholesaler. Let's not talk about wholesaling. What do y'all got? Private money. And then more y'all gotta have questions in that.
So I just want to chime in real quick, Adam. My day did not go the way it was supposed to today. So, but allowed me to be on this Zoom. So I just wanted to say thank you for putting these together, because it really helps all of us think outside the box. And if we're not thinking, I'm sure we have the tools in our head, right? But we just need somebody else on these lives to unlock those tools. So I appreciate you taking the time out every Sunday to do these.
Thanks, Dawn. I appreciate you too. I'm glad
Of
you
course.
make it today.
Yeah, me too.
Did you ever get your calendar straightened out?
I did finally, yes. So today I was supposed to go do a race. That didn't work out. I went back to bed, woke up, did laundry, did the things I needed to do. My niece's water broke. I drove out of my driveway, had a flat tire, had to back up. Just a mess. Got back into my driveway, pulled up, and your CRM messaged me that this live, you reminded me, and that you were talking all the things. So I'm glad I chimed in. I do have my CRM working now, so thank you for your help with all the systems and things. So yeah, this has been super helpful on so many levels.
I'm glad. I'm glad that, like I said, you found it helpful, and, you and I have gone back and forth for a long time with resources. Like now you're in a $1 billion alliance with me.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Everybody just keep making those connections and keep coming on these lives and all other, lives that they do throughout the network. It's been so helpful to me since I joined Sub 2 in February, I think. Yeah.
yeah, they're about, you joined right about the same time I did.
Yep. Everybody here is, all the entrepreneurs, they have different superpowers, right? And you put all the different heads in one room. It's incredible.
That brings up a good point, and like I think maybe that's what we roll into next, is like intentional networking, because that's something that I see a lot of people go wrong with, is they just blast out a message like, hey, I need capital. You're like, okay,
Yes.
now what? Bree and I talk about that all the time. She gets the unsolicited DMs like, yo, you gonna loan me money? And she's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
I'm sure you get it too, don't you, Dawn? Like
I do. I got one today, and it was kind of sad because I had spoken to this person probably about 2 months ago, and she had a really good credit score, and I was like, I can help you. And she was in the middle of getting this house, and so she put me off, and then she found a private money lender. She's supposed to close Tuesday. And she says, I need private money. Can you help me? I'm like, well, no, it's Sunday. No, I cannot help you, but I could have helped you become your own private money lender so you wouldn't have to be in this situation. But
Dawn,
there's
can
a
you talk about
time and a
a little bit?
place.
Because I think that's super valuable, becoming
Yeah.
your own money lender.
Yeah. It's possible. I don't think people realize, a lot of, and I think the only reason why I recognized it was because I was that flipper. My first time, flipping a property, I got Home Depot and Lowe's credit cards. I thought I was doing things. And then my credit score tanked. And I knew nothing about business credit. But, I had to learn. And because I learned how to do it, now I'm like recognizing that a lot of people haven't really dove into the world of business credit. So it's pretty cool to be able to help as many people as I've been able to help. And it's because of networks like this,
Yep. And like you said, you're able to help people get either 0% or low interest credit cards, whether it's personal or hybrid. Hybrid helping them build their business credit, so then they can go get the lines of credit and the business credit cards.
Right.
And they can use that to, be their own PML.
Right. And always have access to it. And it just builds and grows and grows. You get more and more money, more and more, buying power. And that's really how you scale. And you mentioned wholesale.
Yep.
No, like I'm not, that's not my superpower. I am not a wholesaler. I spent about $5,000 trying to do it. Just don't like it. It's not my thing. And so I stick with the money piece because that's what I enjoy. But getting all these people together, like wholesalers that do enjoy making those calls, that are really great at getting contracts. They have their, that's their superpower. You have a TC, that's their superpower. You get all those people in one place, and now you're able to scale because you have your own private money. So you have the funding. You have the missing piece that they need. So now you're all working together and building your empire.
And if you're tapped out on being your own private money lender, there's private money lenders in this Zoom.
Yep.
That's the other beautiful piece of it.
100%.
But it goes back to being intentional with your networking. Like when you're reaching people, like what groups are you in? What groups are you active in? Where are you adding value? Who are you getting on your calendar? Why are they getting on your calendar? Like, what do you even know about them? What notes are you taking? Are you following up with them?
I think that takes time to learn. When you first start out, you just want to be in everyone's space and learn all the things right away. And, it does take time. It took me some time when I joined Pace, sub 2. He was like, oh, meet 30 people. So I just met 30 people. And then I met you and you're like, let's get intentional with those conversations. Okay. So, you start to make different connections, and that's really where the growth starts to happen.
Right. But Dawn, I can pick up the phone and call you any day of the week. And why is
Yeah.
that?
Right. But I'm saying, like, before you make those connections and you're new. So I'm just saying, when you're new, it's, it's a lot to learn. And, you just want to get out there and say the things. And so it's hard and frustrating sometimes because you want to help everyone and you can't, but I feel Bree's frustration sometimes when people are just like, hey, I need money Tuesday. Can you help me? No, I can help you on the next deal though.
Well, but Dawn, here's the thing is, you and I were both new around the same time, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay. So therefore, I was a stranger to you and you were a stranger to me. And we met some kind of way. Like you ended up on my calendar. We had a conversation, and it probably was 30 minutes. It might have been an hour, whatever it was. But here's the point I'm making is I can pick up the phone and call you any day of the week. Why is that?
Right. Well, I mean, I think we both have, well, first of all, I think some people just connect differently. And also we've learned a way that we can help each other too, and where if you're not,
That's it. We
Right.
learned how we can help each other because I connected with you intentionally.
Right.
You said that you were potentially, a private money lender, right? But I didn't go after you to be a private money lender. Like I went after you to build a relationship and a friendship. And, like I said, you and I have talked all kinds of shit personally, professionally, about kids, about dating, about marriage. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't just come and say, like, hey, Dawn, I need you to lend money on this deal because I've got one in my pipeline right now.
Right.
At one point, you and I were complete and utter strangers, and you had absolutely no reason to talk to me other than, I was just some guy. But because I was able to humanize myself, right? And I was able to add value along the way, and I was able to build an intentional relationship with you. Now you can say that you and I are pretty good friends. And even if we don't talk for a period of time, which we haven't in recent months because we've both been very busy, when I picked up the phone and called you last week, it was like we just picked up where we left off, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But why is that? It's because we're friends.
Right.
You see
Right.
where, you
And
see where
so
I'm
I'm
going
not
with this?
saying, I'm not trying to tell people don't make those connections. I'm just saying, kind of reiterate what you had said, just try to make it a little intentional.
Well, I think I think you should make it as intentional as you can on the front end. And you should, like I said, lead with value, talk about the things that matter to you, connect with people on a real level, like on a personal level. You're not trying to date the person, you're just trying to make a new friend.
Right.
It goes back to the old adage, like make a friend, make a sale. But again,
We
like
see.
I also go into it, I'm not trying to sell you anything.
Right.
For me, the goal is usually to make you laugh because I know if I can make you laugh, I can make a friend out of you.
That's true.
And you and I have had lots of those.
Yep. Yep. Adam's a good dude. Definitely stay connected with him. And once in a while, he'll put on a good Zoom like this one.
Oh, once in a while, not every week.
Just kidding.
Do you even remember what it was that we got on the calendar for? I mean, it was a long time. It feels like so long ago now.
I think it was just because you were one of the people that I reached out to in sub 2.
Possibly. But
Yep, and I was all over the place. Didn't know what an avatar was. Didn't know what avatar I was until I watched the training and realized I was doing the avatar that I chose already and
that's
didn't realize
right.
it was an actual thing.
Wait,
And that I should be getting paid to do it.
wasn't it you that was telling me like, oh, I'm gonna go through the PACE method? And I was like, why? Well, you're like, because my MSA told me to.
My MSA told me to. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but you're already doing deals. And you were like, yeah, I know, but my MSA told me to. And I was like, who fucking cares?
Well, sometimes when you skip ahead, you miss a lot of things, and so I was just trying to do the things that I was told. They obviously have been doing this a lot longer than me. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. And had I not, I'm sure I would have underwriting, what a TC does, all those things. That was pretty new to me. So even though I was still, already flipping houses and, learning about business credit and taxes and all the things, there's just so much to learn. And I'm still learning.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is so I've made over 300 contacts in sub 2 since starting in January. In fact, I just checked my iPhone, it's 309. Because, by the way, that's one of the little tricks JJ taught me is like create a list, add them all to a list, make it searchable. So 309 contacts, 200 of them came before Squad Up Summit. So that was between January and late April, almost May.
Wow.
How? Why?
Now is everyone on this Zoom in your contact list?
Most of them. 2 of them are now that weren't before.
Good.
Both Ricardo and
Sean's
Megan.
shaking his head no. You got to get his number. Oh, he's in New Hampshire. Are you in New Hampshire? Oh, that's awesome. I'm only about 3.5 hours from you.
Well, Sean, I dropped my number in the chat. You can always text me. And then you'll be in my contact list.
Yeah, I'll have to meet up with Sean someday. Do you go to the New England meetups? The Zooms?
I don't know. Are you talking about sub 2?
Yes.
No, I'm not a part of the sub 2 group.
But the New England sub 2, I believe, is for anybody. You should check it out. I'll see if I can share the link. It's free.
Okay. Yeah, sounds
I mean,
good.
you should be a member because it's awesome, but for now at least make some New England connections in sub 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. See if I can find it.
But yeah, guys, 309 contacts in, like I said, 8 or 9 months. And it's like, how do you get there? Well, one, I was building a brand in the groups, and I'm still building brands in different groups. So that's posting, that's adding value, that's telling stories, that's talking about things that sometimes are real estate related, sometimes business related, sometimes completely unrelated. Maybe it's personal. That was what got me a lot of attention in the Sub 2 Facebook group, was I was always posting and trying to add value in the Sub 2 Facebook group. So a lot of those people would get on my calendar, and I'd talk to them, I'd save their number, and I'd reach out to them. And the other thing was, when Pace hosts a Zoom, he'll tell you, he'll be like, here's a networking challenge for you. Just go to the side chat and connect with as many people as you can, and then you win this prize, whatever the prize was. And most of the time he'd forget to give out the prize in the first place. But I wasn't doing it for the prize, I was doing it for the connections. And I was usually doing it because, like I said, we're raising money. So like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go grab as many people from Sub 2 Family Night, from when he does like the Elephant Challenge or the Money Beat Challenge or whatever Pace's thing is. And you can do this in any Zoom. It doesn't matter. You can do this in JJ Zooms. You can do this in the network to network Zooms. You can do this in the Growth Co Zooms. You go into the Zoom and you're active in the sidebar, right? Like as I'm talking, Bree just grabbed the Sub 2 Zoom for Sub 2 New England, because Bree's also in New England. Like, you guys should all be connecting with each other, trading numbers, talking about what do you do, what do you need, what do you have, what do you need. There's always a solution in between those two. And I would say too, like for me, follow up is key. I try to add enough value to people that they are open to me following up with them. But B, I try to just do it when I can, and I'll say, hey, like I text Bree and Dawn and other people in the Zoom all the time. I'll just say, hey, just thinking about you. And it's nothing to do with anything. But I do want them to know that I'm thinking about them. It's not because I'm looking for something, but it's because all of those 309 people are a friend to me on some level or another, some more than others. Some I talk to every day, some I talk to every week, some I talk to once a month or or once every other month. Right? We're all busy, we all have lives. Like, I can't talk to 309 people a day. I could sit in this Zoom room all day long and just leave it open, and I still couldn't talk to 300 people a day. But what I can do is I can follow up with people when they're top of mind, or some people like Emma. And if you go back and watch the first podcast episode I did with her, she talked about, she had a system where she broke up the month based on the 30 days, and she would follow up with all of her contacts that start with A on, the first, and then all the contacts that start with B on the second. And she would just go through her entire contact list every single month, and she would follow up with people and say, hey, what do you have, what do you need, how can I help, where can I add value, what do you do you need a TC, do you need a lender, are you a wholesaler, like, do you need a CRM? Like, it's just going in and just adding value to people where you can and where you feel it most necessary to do so. But being intentional, not just with the networking and trying to get into the rooms. Like, anytime I see somebody who's on a Zoom and I'm trying to get to that person, I will go hop in that Zoom. That was how I made some of my first connections in Sub 2. I wanted to meet Shane Evans. Shane Evans was on a Zoom with Jesse Stanton on a Saturday. So I took time out of my Saturday to go hop in that Zoom. Shane said he was looking for an integrator. So I'm messaging Shane in the Zoom chat saying, hey, guess what? I'm an integrator. I can help you. Shane's messaging me back. Hey, here's my number. Let's talk. Shane and I get on a call. I'm talking, I'm interacting, I'm taking myself off mute to talk with Jesse. Jesse and I have been friends now for several months. Jesse just came and did the podcast episode last weekend. How did I do that? I had to continually follow up with Jesse. I had to continually add value to him. I had to maybe send him a voice note here or there. I gave him, I gave him like a recommendation for a friend of mine who is an executive assistant because he said he was looking for one in his story. If you come to people with solutions instead of coming with problems, you will always, always, always be adding value. It doesn't matter what the problem is. If you're coming with the solution to whatever the problem is, they're going to appreciate you and love you that much more, and they're going to tell you every single time. What else we got, guys? We got about 15 minutes. I want to open this up. If y'all have any more questions, I'd like to answer some, help everybody, give everybody as much value as we can for the time that we're here.
Adam,
What's going on?
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh,
I got
cool, man. So I really have more of a statement than question. I just wanted to add that I do find super value in all of this. I think I mentioned this to you before. And I appreciate you putting these Zooms together. It's like I know a lot of it is a lot of the same content that's repeated, but it's good. It's good to that reinforcement, and it's just good. It's just good to I guess, go back to the why that we're starting on this. Like for myself, I'm trying to transition out of my 20-year IT career into real estate investing. So I set goals for myself to get completely out before the end of next year or sooner. The operative word being sooner, and building those relationships and networking. And sometimes it can get a little exhausting, but at the same time, I always go back to my why. Why am I doing this? So, and these Zoom calls help reinforce that. Thank you.
Have you reverse engineered that goal to get yourself out of it?
Yeah, it's the challenges I'm coming across is just like I'm in a fix and flip project right now, so I'm already looking for the next deal. So I'm trying to work with networking and meeting more private money lenders and building those relationships. So when I finally find the next project to pull the trigger on, then I could have something to put forward, and hopefully the relationships I'm building, we'll be able to create something together.
And so I'm guessing the next project that you're referring to is probably like going to be like a property or something that's going to either hit or get you closer to your cash flow goals.
Yes.
So one thing I would challenge you on, because I don't know what your cash flow goals are, but I can tell you one thing that I've seen is a lot of people want to get there step by step, and they want to do like, I'm going to go buy an LTR, and then I'm going to go buy another LTR, and then I'm going to buy another LTR, and then I'm going to buy another LTR. And so that's great. But you're getting there piece by piece by piece. You're accruing like $200 a month. And after those 5 properties that you're now leveraging, $1 million in debt or whatever, like, congrats, you got $1,000 a month in cash flow. One thing goes wrong in one of those properties, like, then what? That eats all your cash flow. And so, like I said, I don't know where you are. I don't know what your strategy is, but I would venture just to implore you, right? Like, think big, think really big, because if you're gonna go out and get $1 million in some kind of leverage, why wouldn't you go get like an asset that's worth $1 million as opposed to like 5 assets that are worth $1 million?
Right. So to that point, one of my goals is to look into self-storage and look at acquiring properties that way. Recently, I've been also considering maybe another business, like laundromat business or something, but that's just still in the early phases. I want to try to focus on one thing first before I expand out and try to scale up. So I figured I already went through a 3-day conference on self-storage investing, and it looks really great. And there's an education platform for that. So I'm looking into that, but this is why I'm doing the first fix and flip project that I got going and looking at a second fix and flip project to do, just so I can get at least some cash that way to fund this and then fund another deal and just continue on that way. But yeah, for sure, definitely I want to get into a business that creates a more consistent cash flow.
Yeah, so self-storage is pretty straightforward, right? Like I like RV parks. Real similar cash flow numbers. You got higher utility costs and probably a little bit lower gross, but you can have way more units than I can have. So you can make up for it there. But same principle, right? Like it takes the same amount of time, effort, and money. It's just well, not money per se, right? Like it's different. You add zeros to it. But it takes the same amount of time and effort to close one of those deals over a month to 3 months as it would to close all these other smaller deals.
Mhm.
So it sounds like you're in the right place. Just start looking for those properties now. Because the other thing is too, it's way easier to build the relationships with the private money lenders when you have the deal. And also,
right.
not doing it yet, start talking about why you really like that space. That was one of the things I was told yesterday by a mentor of mine. He's like, so you like RV parks? He was like, why? And I was like, well, because they solve an affordability problem. There's an opportunity here because my state's massively overlooked because of insurance and natural disasters. I said, but since we're planning on doing more short-term stuff and not permanent fixtures like mobile home parks, like, if a natural disaster comes, we just evacuate everybody. We just tell them, hey, you need to leave. You can always come back. We'll have a place for you, whatever. And I said, it's super cheap and easy to develop new pads. You can develop a pad for probably like as little as $5,000. It's run utilities and pour gravel. NOI is high because expenses are low. It's more or less a multifamily, but without all the headaches of the staffing and the maintenance required for a big multifamily. And I'm sure you're probably attracted to self storage for like similar reasons, right? Like you're not maintaining 200 toilets, you're maintaining like 200, cubes, really.
Right. It's steel boxes on concrete surfaces.
Right. And so I told him all that, and he's like, cool. How much of that do you talk about on social media? And I was like, he was like, gotcha. I was like, fuck. Like, you're right. But he brought up a good point because we were talking about LinkedIn. And so he was like, well, why aren't you talking about this on LinkedIn? And I was like, I haven't really been utilizing LinkedIn like I should.
That's the other thing I'm starting to do is revamp my LinkedIn profile to connect with private money lenders through that channel as well.
Yeah, so I would recommend he's a good friend of mine, the guy that taught me this. His name is John Lane. And the easiest way to find him is to search, it's like John Lane Compassionate Capitalist. Because whenever I search that, he comes up. And I pulled him up, I connected with him on LinkedIn. Him and I have a call tomorrow. But like I'm just gonna do what he does. Like I'm gonna look at his profile and I'm gonna model what he has. I'm just gonna go line by line. I'm gonna go back and probably redo my bio, redo my experiences, and gear it more towards getting investors in. Because he's gotten to the
Thank
point
you.
he gets compensated roughly $1,000 an hour for the time he spends on LinkedIn.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, bro, definitely. Like I said, start talking about self storage and here's the other thing I learned too is the more you talk about it, whether it's in the one-on-one conversations, kind of like we're having here, or it's online, or it's in rooms, that's how the deal comes to you quicker. You're gonna say it one day in a room, and somebody's gonna be like, "Huh, you know, I do have this listing, or I do have these units. Um, are you in this market?" And you'll be like, well, yeah, like I'm in that market. Cool.
As a matter of fact, I am.
Yeah, exactly. Even if I wasn't before, I am now.
Exactly.
So just talk about it, bro. Like put it out there, throw it out there. Like I said, the more I start talking about RV parks, the more and more people are getting behind me, and the more people actually like want to support me in doing it. And that's the other thing too, is people will offer all kinds of different help, right? Maybe that's how you end up finding the TC that's going to TC your deal. Maybe that's how you find a private money lender or one of the passive investors. Maybe you're going to syndicate the deal. Like I don't know. You'll probably
Right.
know more
Right.
about the deal.
Yeah, there's a lot of options, which is
There's a
what I like about it.
Yeah, there's a ton. Like you could probably roll it into a DSCR or some other kind of loan product. And then you
Something like that, yeah.
and
It's a
then
little
you
different in that commercial space, but yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
but I'm sure they have something real similar,
Right.
because every commercial space is a little bit different.
Right.
But, like I said, the more you talk about it, the sooner you'll find a deal. And I would say just go for a deal that's going to take out a significant chunk out of that cash flow goal, whatever that cash flow goal is. If it's $5,000 a month, well, don't be scared to go for it. Might be a $2 million, $3 million property. It's going to, meet or exceed that 5,000 a month. Maybe it's 10,000 a month. Well, cool. You may have to raise the price of what you're looking for, but you can find a property that will meet that.
Definitely.
And it's just as much effort. And maybe if anything, just get if you have an experienced partner, or somebody that you can work with, get them on the deal with you and help walk you through it. Since
Yeah.
it'll be the first one.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely follow up and let you know how my progress is going because I think it's overall great content just to share.
Have you connected with Guy Varble at all in JJ's group?
Yes. Yeah, I had a great conversation with him almost 2 weeks ago. He was a wealth of information. This is a pretty amazing guy. Funny, pretty amazing guy. His name is Guy.
Yep.
So,
He's pretty
but yeah, I did connect with him, and I'll be connecting with him again.
awesome, bro. Yeah, I connected with him a couple weeks ago too. JJ recommended it, and JJ introduced me to another fund manager right after that, and they're both super good people. Awesome, guys. Well, we are getting close to the top of the hour here. I know that Pace has Sub 2 family night going on in the next like 3 or 4 minutes, so I'm gonna let everybody go for those of you that need to go there. As y'all know, we do these every single Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. CST, no matter what. I'm committed to showing up and giving you guys value and bringing y'all new guests, and we'll definitely do another AMA or something like this, so that way we can answer all of the questions that you guys have. The only thing that I ask of anybody is, like I said, if I made you think, if I made you laugh, if I brought you value, that you show up again, and if you have somebody, bring a friend. So until next time, guys, I will see everybody later.
Thanks, Adam.